Shalom from Paris. I'm Pastor Matt McEwen. Welcome to this week's edition of Pearls of the Torah. It's wonderful to be with you here on my trip. This week our Torah portion is called Chukat. And there's something very interesting about this week's Torah portion because it deals with traveling through someone else's land or wanting to travel through someone else's land. We must be strategic when we do these types of trips. As you can see, I'm wearing a shirt that you cannot see my necklace that has a Star of David on it. I'm wearing this type of hat and not a kippah so that you cannot see that either. It might draw unwanted attention. We sometimes have to be careful when we are traveling. I'll never forget one of the first overseas trips that I made with Rabbi Shapira. I was in Rome with him, and when I landed, I was full of zeal, and I was not doing things the way that I do them today. For instance, when I am wearing a talit katan, I tuck my tzitziot in. I hide them from the public. And there's a lot of halachic opinion on how you do these types of things. One of the statements that is made is, the verse says about tzitzit, that when you see them, you'll remember the commands of the Lord. When you see them. In other words, it's for you to see, you personally, not for the public. It's something between you and God. There are other opinions, but this is the one that I most often go with. I usually tuck my tassels inside my trousers. It's what I've been doing on this trip as well. It's wise and it is safe, especially with the rise of anti-Semitism in the world today. Looking Jewish is sometimes not the best idea. On this trip to Rome, when I got off the plane, I was wearing the kippah, I had my tzitziot, they were out and exposed, and Rabbi Shapira scolded me and corrected me and said, "What are you doing? This is not wise, this is not safe." We need to be careful. Sometimes we're in areas that are antagonistic to Jewish things. So, as we talk about being strategic when we travel and traveling through other people's land, it's very interesting that I'm here traveling during this Torah portion and that I am releasing the French version, the French translation of the fall of Edom, because this week's Torah portion involves the king of Edom. What Moses says to the king of Edom is, "Please let us pass through your land. We will not pass through your fields or vineyards, nor will we drink well water. We will walk along the king's road, and we will turn neither to the right nor to the left until we have passed through your territory." But this is in verse 17. In verse 18, Edom replied to him, "You shall not pass through me, lest I go out towards you with the sword." And then in verse 19, the children of Israel said to him, "We will keep to the highway, and if we drink your water, either I or my cattle, we will pay its price. It is really nothing. I will pass through on foot." And then finally in verse 20, "But he said, you shall not pass through, and Edom came out toward them with a vast force and a strong hand." This is an unfortunate passage. All they wanted to do was to pass through. But the ruler of Edom said, "No, you cannot." Rashi has some interesting things to say about this. "Please let us pass through your land. You have no right to contest the inheritance of the land of Israel, since you did not pay the debt. Help us a little, and let us pass through your land." How about this? "We will not drink well water." He should have said, "water from cisterns." However, Moses said, "Though we have manna to eat and a well from which to drink, we will not drink from it, but we will buy food and drink from you." From here we learn that even if a guest has his own provisions, he should buy from the shopkeeper or householder to benefit his host. Rashi is quoting Midrash Tanchuma from Chukat 12 and Numbers Rabbah 19:15. Now, I wanted to film this at a restaurant on purpose. I'm at my favorite bistro that is near the hotel that we usually stay at when we come to minister here in France. The food is inexpensive but delicious, and I love that it's a place where locals come. It's not just a tourist place, but locals come and dine here as well. I like that. The locals obviously are the ones that are working here and the ones that are helped by us patronizing this business. So here at this little bistro, and my wife has been able to be with me on 2 trips as we have visited Congregation El Beit El. This is the place that we come back to. In fact, we completely unintentionally, about maybe not quite a year apart, but several months apart, took a photo of each other, a selfie, in this restaurant, and we had no idea that we were sitting at the exact same table that we had sat at the last trip. And if you look at the photo, you can even see that we're wearing the exact same clothes, the same outfits, both of us. The only difference is I'm wearing a different hat, but everything else is exactly the same. We thought that was interesting. We like to come back and patronize this business. We learn here from this passage from Rashi that it's good to help out the local economy. It's good when you're passing through somewhere to give business to those businesses, those restaurants, those shops. We love going to a little kosher butcher in the Jewish area of Paris called Boucherie Norbert, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful little kosher butcher, and we love to get these little sausages there that are beef and chicken. They're quite delicious, and it's a nice snack. When you are going somewhere on a trip, let's say it's just an outing with your family, sometimes it's easier to save money by packing your own food, by packing your own lunch, maybe having a picnic of some kind. But remember this, you can also be a blessing, especially if you're in a different area than your own. You can be a blessing to that local economy. You can be a blessing to a local restaurant, to the people that work in that restaurant. And if you come from a culture like mine in the United States, where you tip people, you can even be a blessing to someone by tipping more than someone else might. That has always been a testimony in our family. My father always believed tipping more than usual as a way of blessing, giving financial blessing to people that work very hard and sometimes a thankless line of work, and where sometimes they are not treated with much respect. And so this is a way that we can help out. Now, unfortunately, it does not go well for Edom. They should have treated Israel better. And through Rabbi Shapira's new book, we see the fall of Edom. And he takes us through Obadiah, through the book of Obadiah, who he reminds us was not originally Jewish. He was a Gentile. He converted. But he's not just any Gentile. He's from Edom. He's an Edomite. And he is the one that prophesies about the destruction of his own people, of his own land, and of his own culture. That had to be difficult. It had to be a difficult thing for him to do. And it also had to be difficult, as a lover of the God of Israel, to remember that his ancestors treated Israel like this in the wilderness. What could it hurt to have someone walk through your land, especially if they offer to even buy the food and water that they will be using as they pass through? Merci beaucoup. So this is why we like to patronize local businesses when we go on trips. We want to be a blessing wherever we go, even to complete strangers, even to people that we might never see again. The gentleman that just handed me my food, I don't know that I will ever see him again, but he will know that I was kind to him and that I treated him well, that I treated him with dignity and respect. And I will know that because I chose to come here and not some fast food place or something like that, as I look across the street, there's a Subway sandwich shop right across the street. Just down the road a little bit is a KFC. There's a McDonald's on the next block. Some of the worst exports of America coming into France and other parts of Europe, all over the world. I think it's much better to go somewhere local. Help out the local economy, as Rashi tells us to. I think it's a great idea, and it's a wonderful way to show the love of Yeshua by doing something good for someone, by contributing to their financial well-being. So, live from Paris, it is wonderful to be with you. Continue to study the Torah, and as I am on the rest of this trip, I'll be bringing you with me. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm now going to have a bit of a bite and some coffee in Paris. Thanks for being here with me, and pray for us for success in the rest of our trips. As the day that I'm recording this, tomorrow I leave for Barcelona to go to a wonderful congregation that is called Congregation New Wineskins. What a wonderful name for a congregation, a Messianic congregation. And I'm going to be teaching them about why it's important that they live up to their name. They have to be new wineskins for the new wine. Thank you once again for joining me. Shalom.